I'm recording now, and okay. Welcome to the Setbreaker podcast. Today we have a guest, good friend of mine, Adam J. Lawyer. Adam J. the Lawyer or Adam J. Lawyer?
The handle is Adam J. the Lawyer, but I'm Adam Jaradovac. Nice to meet y'all.
That's right. Half Korean, half amazing. No, the Korean part's amazing too. What am I saying? Everything about you is amazing. So, guys, Adam,
Thanks, Mike.
you're welcome. Adam is a lawyer, of course, and a former professional. You're a D1 athlete, a professional football player.
Yep. Yeah. Played football at both of those levels. Definitely.
Okay, and it was for University of Iowa,
Idaho. So that's
Idaho.
actually a common mistake people make because the Idahos, Iowas, and Ohio's all kind of blend together sometimes. It's like a game of Scrabble where if you have the same letters, you might be able to make the words.
Yeah, exactly. Words with friends.
So I played football at the University of Idaho from 2005 to 2009. And then I played in the Arena Football League, which is, if we all remember that league, it was the hottest show on turf. I played for the Spokane Shock. We ended up winning Arena Bowl 23 with them. And I ended up my career with the San Jose SaberCats over in 2011. So I retired with them.
Damn, dude. So were you always playing football?
Not really. I actually started playing football when I was in high school, and my brother really got me involved in that because my brother's Aaron. He's 2 years older than me, so he has kind of set the path in front of me in high school. So we ended up playing football, basketball, and baseball in high school, and I played football, basketball a little bit my freshman year, but then I joined the wrestling team after that, and then I was on the track team, but. My mom always put us in all the sports we could. So I played baseball growing up, a lot of soccer, actually. And what was my favorite one? Oh, hockey. I loved hockey.
Wait, but your mom is Korean though, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And your mom,
100%.
and she's from Korea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she puts you in sports.
Yeah, she put us in a lot of sports.
That
I was
blows
the biggest
my mind.
kid on the soccer field, too. Like, just imagine me being a 5'10" sixth grader who weighs 260 pounds, just running along the soccer field. And it was really funny at that time because I think that back in the late 90s or the early thousands, people didn't really care about body image that much for children. So even though I was 100 pounds heavier than all the kids, league still required me to wear the AYSO plastic size large shorts that a normal 11-year-old would fit in. So I remember my mom bought me a pair of Nike shorts from Mervyn's one day, and she's like, Adam, you're not wearing that stuff anymore. And they tried to say that they weren't going to let me play if I wasn't wearing these tiny little shorts. So you know what? I got my big butt in those shorts, and I started running up and down the field. And I feel like that's one of the things that got me really athletic is, chasing after the ball, wearing really short shorts. But, I had to be I couldn't let people see me too much, so I had to run faster,
Oh shit! Wait, so in sixth grade you were 5'10"?
Probably heavier, probably taller than that. Actually, probably like 6'1", I think. I don't know.
Dude,
I remember seeing a picture of me in middle school at a parade because I was in band. I played clarinet, and so I was in the parade. I was standing next to everyone who was playing clarinet with me, and I looked like a grown-ass man. Like, it was like literally 6'2", probably 240 pounds. When I was looking back at that picture, I was like, wow, that guy is svelte. Like, he's muscular. But I remember being at that time thinking I was some like little short, chubby kid, just because I was getting picked on all the time. But it's like that guy could take on some college kids.
yeah, that's interesting though. So you were getting picked on. Like, what kind of stuff would they say? Because obviously you were like a giant compared to everybody, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was always the tallest and the biggest one in my class, but I don't know, just a lot of stuff. They'd call you Adam, and then they'd put an F in front of it because it would rhyme, and then so they call you Fathom, and there's all those things. But I feel like a lot of those little barbs that come from the youth years help you become the person who you are today. And I mean, now someone across the street yells something at me that's really inappropriate, it's not a big deal. Just let that person on their way. I'm glad they wanted to interact with me for a little bit.
Yeah, that
when I'm
stuff is
busy.
necessary, especially for guys. Like that is part of like the challenge arena of development of becoming a man. And I think today, because there's a lot of, hey, you said that, even if it's like just basic roasting,
Yep.
dudes are a little too sensitive, man. I think,
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I remember I grew up in the mean streets of Palo Alto, California. So mind you, I had to deal with different experiences than other people growing up in other parts of the country. But one thing that was really surprising for me is when I went to Moscow, Idaho, when I went to college in 2005. We were hanging out with a bunch of dudes on the football team. And when I was a freshman, there was about 28 new other people. 24 of them were freshmen and 4 other junior college transfers who were all new. So we're all just sitting in the same rooms, playing the same video games, trying to acclimate with each other. And I remember the first time I was playing NCAA 2004 with some of these guys. We were hanging out in a dorm room. Some guy scored a touchdown with his player. I don't know who, but then he starts like screaming. He's like, F you, you effing suck. You better go back home. You better get that S out of here. I'm going to be dominating you all game. And I remember the first time I heard that, I kind of like, bowed up a little bit. I was like, what did you say about me? What did you do? I was like, and then, looking at everyone around me, it's like, all right, this is how you do. You either have to play well or you have to start speaking better. So that was where I was able to start really like, with the words that are yelled at you, with how they're being said, you really are able to or need to just extract what message they're trying to send, and then you need to develop your own messaging and send that right back. So what I first thought of being very aggressive, like later on that day I found out just was a form of camaraderie and a form of way of just starting to challenge each other without having to get physical, without having to be overly aggressive towards the other individual, because you're just streaming all of that power and attention towards one thing, a video game. But when you're doing that day in and day out, you better get good at talking trash. You better get good at defending yourself, or you better get good at playing some football. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, you're gonna have
and
to,
I
yeah.
never won every game either. That's why. So I had to get good at talking a little bit more.
So would you say that was the beginning of the future of Adam J, the lawyer, becoming a lawyer in a way?
No, 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 no way, no way. I definitely can't give credit to that.
Why'd you become a lawyer? Because of talking shit in video games?
Yeah. No, I knew I wanted to become a lawyer from a very early age. My dad worked in law for around years. He always set a good example to me for putting in the work day in and day out. No matter how good you feel, how bad you feel, you do the best you can. And my mom, gosh, bless her soul. Ever since I was probably in kindergarten, she just kept on telling me, "Hey, you're going to be the president of the United States. You're going to be a lawyer." And then I remember one New Year's Eve coming out, watching the ball drop on TV. I just remember Bill Clinton came out of the stage during this New Year's Eve show playing the saxophone. I was like, that's the president of the United States of America. That's pretty awesome. Okay, he's a lawyer. I figure out how to become a lawyer. I need to figure out how to help people. And it's just that, with the constant support and reminders from my mom for the next 25 years, like, all right, so you're going to be a lawyer. All right, so what about law school? Start keeping these things in your mind every single day throughout my high school and college career. So I remember when I was playing sports, I didn't know that sports can take you anywhere. I didn't know that you can get a scholarship from playing sports. I just knew that was a good way to keep me healthy, a good way to make friends and, hang out with my brother. Because, one of my best football memories was my sophomore year in high school, when my brother was a senior and I was a sophomore. And we actually started right next to each other on the off line with each other, and we right next to each other on the defensive line with each other for a whole season. And that was just, gosh, anytime you could play sports with one of your family members, that's an amazing thing.
That must
But
bond you on like a whole nother level, huh?
absolutely, because he yelled at me every single day, boy. Like, I remember not knowing the plays. I actually had a little armband, and I used to write the plays on my arm. But you can't do that in sports, just like you can't do that in law, because every single play that's in front of you, every single case that's in front of you has a different set of facts. And you can't apply the same theories and the same analysis against every set of facts, because there are different nuances and different exceptions. So I remember we were hanging out at the University of Oregon football camp, And he actually took the time on like 2 nights where he's like, Adam, you're not going out, you're not hanging out, you're staying in this dorm room with me, and we're learning the plays again. Because it was his senior year, it was his job to get all the guys on the line and all the guys on the offense on the same page. And you know, he really took the time with me. And you know, after that, a lot of people don't get that type of attention when they're playing sports. So he was really able to coach me up and tune up those skills so I could focus on different ones. And during this whole time, my mom was still telling me, Adam, I don't care about what happens in sports. You're becoming a lawyer.
But she knew that sports was going to be good for you, which the reason why that resonates so much. Well, not it like it stands out so much to me is because Korean immigrants do not do that to their kids. Like most of it's pretty much just you have to do, like, you can't do sports. You're Asian. Like there's no way that's gonna do anything for you. Yeah, you got to do the whole lawyer like doctor thing. But
Yeah,
that's really interesting. And the fact that she did a lot of positive reinforcement. That's another thing that's not common at all. For me, it was all negative reinforcement. You know?
Really? Like
Yeah.
what?
What do you want to be when you're older? Oh, I want to be a comic book artist. And my dad was like, you're not gonna make any money. You're gonna die. Like stuff like that.
Oh,
like so anything
no,
I liked, he would shut me down. Yeah.
That's all I got too, man. I was like, you know, I remember saying, you know, I got my degree in accounting. I got my master's in accountancy. I had this cool CPA job in downtown San Francisco, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a CPA. I'm gonna be a public accountant for a little bit. And then my mom was like, no, you're not. You're gonna be a lawyer.
Really?
Accountants don't make any money. Yeah, and I was like, Mom, you told me to become an accountant. Like this, you were an accountant.
Yeah. Dude, you were even a fucking CPA. You did everything, man. You're like an all-star American. No, but
I'm not a CPA, but I could have sat for a CPA. I was working in audit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you were a former accountant. Like you did all that shit, dude. You did fucking. What the hell? You're like the perfect Asian. Like like everything.
It was all that positive reinforcement. Hey, Mom, I think I want to be a science major. No, you don't. You want to be a business major. Okay, I think I want to be a business major.
Yeah. So you thank her for like all that. Do you appreciate that?
To this day, man. I know. You know, you're saying that I wasn't raised typically, and I think I was to the extent where, you know, my parents were just trying to maximize my abilities and maximize my potential in every way that they could. Where, you know, I did take piano lessons for years, probably like a decade. My mom put me into Korean school for several years before she realized that, you know, my time was being spent other places. You know, I played clarinet from 4th grade all the way through my senior year in high school. So I had to miss out on the marching band stuff because I was playing the football games. But I think I was well-rounded. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out.
What do you like the most about being a lawyer? Oh, well, before you answer that part, what area of law do you specialize in? And then what do you love the most about being a lawyer?
So I'm in my 7th year practicing law right now, which means I've been licensed for, around over 7 years. And right now, I'm only working in employment litigation. And, you know, my office I work at an employment law firm called Employment Rights Attorneys over in Campbell, California. They've been around since the mid to late 80s. And, you know, focusing only on employment litigation. So we represent over 150 employers, and we do have employee clients as well. So, currently I probably have around like 10 to 13 active cases right now in litigation. So, yeah, it's a fun time. It's definitely a good time. I love it because you're able to learn constantly. I know I have a couple cases where we have some hearings coming up where I need to be prepared to argue several different types of doctrines of law, because one thing about a lawsuit is you have a lot of different causes of actions that you're asserting. And then the other side, the defense side, you know, they don't agree with some of the causes of action that you're asserting. So they're going to have a motion to try to get some of those actions stricken from the record. So that way, instead of having that amount of claims, you're only going to have a lesser amount. So in order for me to stop that, I need to be able to argue why all of those claims are necessary and are timely and are within the statutory period. So we need to be able to argue a lot of different things before we even get to the plate, before we even get a chance to look at a ball coming towards us to hit it out of the park. So I enjoy how many different pieces there are to it, and I also enjoy how you constantly need to learn. Like, there's a lot of people who don't stay in employment law, or who don't even try employment law, just because there's so many different bodies of law that you need to know about that all come together, and you need to know exactly how they piece together like that. And I'm learning it. Student to the game always, so I'm always constantly learning, and I'll never say I know everything, but I will say I know more than I knew yesterday.
Dang. That's a quote right there. I want to just take a photo of you. Just, but I know more than I knew yesterday. Damn, right there. Yep. I feel like since you've been doing it for over 7 years, I feel like anybody that tries to start a debate or an argument with you, you would destroy them.
Oh, I don't know about that. And here's the thing. That's a common misnomer about lawyers, is they just love arguing. I know a bunch of lawyers who do love arguing. For me, it's a little bit different. I enjoy, I'm not saying other lawyers don't, but I enjoy life. I enjoy problem solving more than confrontation. So one cool thing that, I got good at is, all these years in sports, all these years working in high pressure academia situations. Like, I don't know, Palo Alto is a very high pressure academic area. All the years I had with playing Division I sports and professional sports, where your coaches, their jobs and their livelihoods and their abilities to support their families were on the line, depending on how you played. So I just remember, like, that's one thing I enjoy. I enjoy getting yelled at. I enjoy with people trying to make arguments with me, however they come across. Some people say their arguments calmly and collected like this. Some people just, the emotion, they get wrapped up in the emotions, and then these situations are very emotional, to where they start yelling and they start pounding their fists on the desks just to get their point across. And one thing that I think that one of my strengths is being able to sit in the pocket, sit like a quarterback, right? Sit in the pocket with all the pressure around me, and really just figuring out what the message is, figuring out what we need to win, what we need to solve this problem. And one thing that one thing that is nice about that is, I have had employers try to swing at me before, so anything south of that is not going to be surprising.
Physically swing at you?
Oh yeah.
What? Wait, why?
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's I don't know. Just it's a different life sometimes. You have different, you work in different industries, and what's normal in one industry is not normal in another. And you see that a lot of times in employment law cases. Think about, the normal behavior in a machine shop is going to be different than the normal behavior in a tech company.
True.
Yeah.
Like the culture and the way, like, blue collar versus like white collar.
Yeah. And just the demographics, the expectations, and the subject matter. It's why you see in some situations where, gosh, I read this one case where an individual can be called a derogatory term for the LGBTQ community on a daily basis, and depending on their industry, that might not be harassment. So
wow.
Yeah. But if you have that same situation like in a school district or a tech company in the Bay Area, there's a pretty good chance that that's harassment.
Yeah. That's abuse too. Probably. Imagine like a teacher calling a little kid, like, oof.
It's a lot of things. Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay, so you're drinking a drink right now, and you were telling me
that's number 2.
That's drink. So you do a 3 drink minimum. What are the drinks you normally have?
So one thing that's I've been doing for fun on social media is doing the hashtag 3 drink minimum. So when I go to my office, I usually have my coffee, my water, and some other type of hydrating beverage. So today I have I'm busting out the Starbucks mug. So this one is from Chicago. All right. So this is my coffee with a little bit of half and half, because it's the weekend. I could relax a little bit and have some sugar. This next one is a naked juice. So this is drink number 2, just to get some of my daily vitamins in. And my third one is my ice water, and that's my lifeline right there. But since I knew I was going to be on the Zoom call with you, Mike, because you're just so energetic, I have this. I haven't opened it, but just in case, I have a yellow Red Bull.
Oh, you got the Red Bull? Yeah.
Just in case.
Jeez, man. Do you pee a lot? If you drink all that?
I feel like I like normal amounts. I don't know.
Okay, because if I drank all that, I would be peeing for like 2 hours straight. I feel like, but then again, you're a bigger guy, so your bladder must be bigger than mine too.
Well, and here's the thing: like, in order, a lot of scientists and health experts say that on a daily basis, to prevent bloating and to prevent water retention, you should drink half of your weight. You should drink enough water a day that is the equivalent to half your weight in ounces. So I weigh 290, so I need to drink 145 ounces of water a day, just generally. And that'll be a good baseline for me. Plus, if you work out, you need to drink more anyways. And, that's my daily routine. So I gotta make sure I stay hydrated.
What is your exercise routine?
Well, that's changed a lot in the last 8 months.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, I'm a gym rat. I love the gym. I love pounding weights. I love running on the treadmills. I like running around in basketball courts, doing sprints. But lately, what I've been doing is I've been doing runs, a lot of body weight squats, a lot of abs, and I have ladders and some hurdles that I'm able to put in the backyard and run and do my, different ladder drills in there. So a lot of footwork. One thing that I always suggest that people do is, when I was playing football, all of the older guys, like a lot of the OGs, the original gangsters, how we call them, they wouldn't lift heavy weights anymore once they hit a certain age. They would just really start focusing on their abs and focusing on their core. Because if you focus on your core and flexibility, then you'll be able to take hits. Then your body will be able to be more durable. And then you're like, your core is where the origin of all your energy comes from, all your explosiveness. So get the core down, get it tightened up, and then you'll be able to, we've lifted so many weights throughout our lives. We'll be able to have that old man strength forever.
Yeah.
But at least our core is going to stay tight, because that's one thing that I see a lot of people just letting go once they, hit past 30, 35 years old.
How does that core strength apply to explosiveness and all that? Because that's something I don't fully understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was able to, this is off of nothing scientific. This is just based off of years and years of experience and personal expertise. But think about when you jump. When you jump, the power does not come from your legs or from your quads, or does not centrally locate from your glutes. It's the bottom two abs that you have. Because think about it, when you jump, you have to compress yourself, you have to compress your body like a spring.
That's true.
And then you need to explode out of it. So that first explosion is through your hips, and then through your hip flexors and through the low core that you have, because based on how fast that can start reacting, and then that'll add the explosiveness to help out your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings. So it's like the original nucleus of where all the explosion comes from. So that's why you see a lot of people who, when they work on jumps, they do a lot of plyometrics where they do frog jumps, high knee jumps, jumps with a knee tuck, because then that activates their lower core, gets that muscle going, and they're able to just strengthen and empower the other muscles a lot easier.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It makes you look better.
Yeah. During the Corona lockdown, I've been doing a lot of abs and a lot of running to get lean,
Nice.
and I'm getting veins in places I never thought I would have gotten, and it's kind of nice. I just kind of look at myself in the mirror in the right lighting every day, and I'm just like, dude, this is cool. I appreciate this.
That's why a lot of people go to the gyms, right? You see those selfies. I'm working on those too.
Yeah.
We have a detached garage back here that's carpeted. I'm already looking to making that into a gym. Yesterday I got a come up. I stopped by my parents' place, and my dad had a long barbell, a couple 25-pound weights for the barbell, and one of these small dumbbells. And he's looking for the other 5, 10, and 15 pounders. So I was really looking for weights. I haven't had weights in the last 8 months. So now I think I got some to just do some good Olympic lifts, a lot of power cleans, a lot of hang snatches, even if it's really lightweight, just to get my body moving again.
Yeah, especially during these times, just as long as you're moving and you're sweating, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like before we did this, I did like a quick little 3.5 mile run, and felt nice, like feel good, right?
Yep. Yeah. Have you been stretching too?
Um, I was doing a lot of yoga, and I got lazy
Nice.
for about 3 weeks, so of doing
That's
yoga.
not
So
bad.
I did yoga
That's not
yesterday.
bad.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I haven't stretched for like 8 months up until like a week and
Oh
a half ago.
shit.
Yeah.
Woo.
And I
Yeah.
was I was I was like, why am I was like, I'm shrinking. My body feels terrible because I'm just sitting
Yeah.
down for 10 to 12 hours a day. So I
Hunched
just
over
got
too, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I just got one of those long 36-inch foam rollers and I started rolling my back out. And there were so many pops that first night. It just felt really good. Yeah.
Who's making popcorn? Come on. Let's
that's
get that.
that's what people are saying. Like, is that you or is that the floor? It's like, oh, that's my back.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I started running a lot more too lately is because I was watching videos of like these boxing coaches and
Yep.
former professional boxers saying the importance of road work is it also helps you in the fight too, because if you get hit, it helps you from not
Yeah.
like getting shook simply
Yep.
by running. And of course, the road work teaches you the like mental fortitude, how to be resilient and how to keep going even when you want to stop. And that's what I've been learning, because every time I run, I want to stop. Like today, I wanted to stop in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, I am tired. Like I said, I'm tired, right? But I
Yes.
was like, no,
Yeah.
you got to do at least 30 minutes. And I wanted to stop like 5 times throughout it. But then eventually you get to the point where it's like you get like the second, what is it? The second win,
You get
second
a
win,
second
third
win.
win, fourth
Yeah.
win. It's just like over and over and over and over. And then you hit the pocket because you're right in the perfect zone, and you're like, oh, I could keep going forever. But then I was like, I got a podcast, so I'm gonna stop.
Oh, good. So at least it was something that you had scheduled that stopped your run. It wasn't, your mindset.
That's why I wasn't running at all, because I told myself, oh, it's because it's gonna make me lose my gains or lose this and that and that. But really, it was because I was just being a little weak ass bitch.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that same thing. One excuse I always use is my body's not meant for long distance running. I played offensive line. I'm a big dude already. My knees, just think about it. I lived about a decade of my life at or over 300 pounds. So my knees aren't the best right now.
Yeah.
But, one thing that you need to keep on doing is you need to keep on running. You need to keep on stretching. And yeah, that's one habit you should not let go. Because I've talked to guys who, they're like in their 60s, 70s, early 80s, and they're saying one of their biggest regrets is letting their physical conditioning go. Because once you let that go, once you start replacing that time with other time, it's really hard to get back. I know for me, I used to work out, 5, 6 week for at least an hour and a half at the gym, where I'd have my whole, morning workout, morning warm up, my run, my lift, my stretch, my steam room, and then my shower. And that's like how you get myself like mentally prepared for the day too. And, having to shut that down because of COVID and because of shelter in place, it was really hard to get this thing started back up again. But once you get it started back up, you got to keep trusting the process. You got to keep on going that 21 days in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
then you'll get it.
Yeah, the thing that I think a lot of guys get wrong is, they complain about them not having motivation to do things in life, or like, how do I get more motivated? And then I'm
Yep.
like, well, start with exercise. Like, I don't wake up every morning saying, yeah, I'm going to run. I'm like, fuck, I need to run because
Yeah,
like I have to fucking do it. Like, I
it's
know
on my
the end
schedule.
result.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the schedule and it's discipline, and that's what it is. So, I mean, better than I do, because fucking D1 athlete, like how
Yeah.
like what was
Yeah.
the whole
Whenever we
thing,
had workouts,
Yeah.
whenever we had our work, what was our workout schedule like? Typically, we had 5:30 a.m. workouts. And then I had a class at 8 o'clock. I had class from 8 to 1. And then I had to eat lunch from 1 to 1:30. And then I had meetings at 2 for about an hour and a half. And then we had practice from 3:30 to 6:30. And then you had to eat dinner. And then you had to go to study table from 7 to 9. And then you were able to have your own time off. So that was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And, and sometimes in the springtime, we would have that workout in the morning. And since we didn't have practice, we'd always have a workout in the afternoon. So it's like that's the habit I really ingrained in myself. And, one good thing about kicking your ass every single day, one good thing about, kicking your butt, no matter how you feel, is the outcome and the results after a couple months will always be beneficial to you. You'll
Mm.
always look better, feel better, sleep better. And, you know, there's a lot of other habits where you will not look better, but working out is one of them that's positive change.
It's fucking facts, man. Like I would go through these periods of time where I would go hard for like 3 months and then go off for like a month and just this and that. But this is the longest I've been consistent. And that actually helped me. You know, a lot of people too on TikTok been asking me like, how do I get over the breakup? Well, really a large part of that is exercise, because it sets a standard for yourself that you respect yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you take care of yourself, that you like yourself if you do that. The thing a lot of guys do is
Yeah.
they don't do that, and then they're like, oh, let me go drink alcohol because that's what you do, because that's what they do in movies and
Yeah.
shit, right? And then
Yep.
complain.
And then you start feeling worse when you wake up. You start looking worse because you have like alcohol on your face, you know. And one thing is, I remember after one big breakup, I did take my emotions out in the gym, and then that still allows you to listen to the same four sad songs over and over again, just like how you normally would. But at least you're working out and you're moving your body, so then at least you get endorphins from listening to those sad songs.
Yeah, and you feel better. You just feel a little bit more
Yeah.
accomplished. Even if you still feel shit, the level of shit you felt like when you woke up, it's just like half the tank is, or maybe even a little bit less, even if it's like a crazy amount. So that's really what I've learned is I really think that's the solution to a lot of depression. I think depression,
Yeah.
this is where people get kind of touchy on, but for me, I've been pretty depressed for like a long, like majority of my life. I'm not anymore, but
Yeah.
once I started
I think we
exercising
all are.
consistently and anxiety too, like that either keeps it at bay or kind of kills it
Yeah.
simply
You
by
know,
moving the
and
body.
and it's just having that routine, having that daily routine that you do regardless of how you feel. That's how you get your baseline. That, for me at least, that's how I keep my baseline. Where, no, one thing I always say to myself, and people laugh, is, when I get done with my workouts, number one, I got more done before 7 a.m. that a lot of people will get done the whole day. And number two, no matter what's going to happen, I guarantee no one's going to kick my ass harder than I just kicked my own ass that day. So when you go into the day with that mindset, all of a sudden your biggest obstacle in the day is not that hard, because you just saw that you had to put up like 250 pounds on the squat rack 10 times in a row. And, that's physically and mentally enduring. You know, someone asking you to make some edits on a paper, it might not be as difficult at that point.
True. What's the biggest lesson you've
Yeah.
learned from being an athlete? Like one of the biggest things.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Following through and finishing. I think that's that is a cliche that everyone always hears all the time, is, follow through with whatever you commit to. You got to make sure you finish, whether you finish the project, finish the drill, finish your rep, finish the game. We hear that a lot. And I really saw that when I was coaching football. I coached high school football for a few years over at Menlo Atherton High School. We did win a Northern California championship, and then we got to the state championship game, which in the state of California is very difficult to do. So I will say we did get to that level. But one thing that was really instilled in me when I was playing sports all through high school and all through whatever is, when you're running a 40-yard sprint, you're running 43 yards before you start slowing down. You do not slow down when you're approaching the finish line. You do not slow down when you hit the finish line. You better excel your ass through that thing, because you never know what's going to happen right before you finish. And that goes along with any of these running drills, right? You have to run a drill. You have to touch a line, come back, touch another line, come back. You better touch that line, because one thing is, when we were running as a team, all 100 guys, if one person did not touch that line, all 100 people would have to run again. If one person did not make their time when we were having time sprints, everyone had to run again. So one thing that we could deal with is, if you couldn't make your time because you were trying your best, you're going your hardest, you're putting in the extra work on your off days to get better, we can live with that. But if we're having to run again because you did not want to touch the line by that much, that means that difference is a difference between you running the ball holding the ball a little bit looser and then getting that ball stripped out and fumbling it. That's the difference between you trying to catch a ball and instead of attack the ball that 1 extra inch, the defenders are going to attack it and intercept that ball. You know, and that's one thing that I really instilled in these kids, because you cannot ease up. You cannot give up right before the finish line. You better finish that thing, and you better leave no doubt that you touched that line. You better leave no doubt that you accomplished what you said you were going to do. So when I take that in my normal life is, you know, I always double and triple check everything I do. And when I don't, and I get reamed for it, I have no one else to blame but myself. And that's one of those things that you can't do that too many times and be successful, man. Because then all of a sudden, it's not that you just let that one situation up. You didn't just make that one mistake. If you do it enough times, that's a habit. And then that all of a sudden you don't do that thing. You do not do that thing that you need to succeed. So I would say finishing, preparing, because you need to prepare to further that greatness. You need to prepare to be able to touch that line. You know, you need to mentally tell yourself, all right, no matter how tired I am going to take that one extra step, even if it will be more tiring, to make sure that everyone sees that I go past that line. And I'm going to hustle back and beat the people who did not touch the line, because no matter what, they're disqualified. And the people who did touch the line, then you got to start hustling more. So it's doing all the little things correctly. So that way, when you really need to focus up and you really need to use your different skills, you're not focusing on the little administrative procedural things anymore, because you know you got those things pinned down. You can focus on the game. So that's probably the biggest thing, is just finishing and having that mindset where you're not going to cut corners.
Yeah, that's, what is it? Jocko Willink, he says, what is that, like extreme accountability? Something like that?
Yeah, I don't know that guy, but I love that extreme accountability. It's yep, extreme accountability and extreme honesty too. So if someone doesn't touch that line, it's not, hey man, you didn't touch the line. Oh yeah, I did. No, you didn't. You're right, I didn't. Yeah, so touch that line. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you hold yourself accountable, you save at least 15% of the time where you would just start defending yourself wrongly, and just get to the point. Let's get to the way and get to figure out what we need to do to win.
Yeah, and that goes with life too. If you can admit that you fucked up, or that you should have done it this way, you could have done it better.
Yep.
And you're honest about it, then that cuts the amount of time it takes for you to actually improve that area of your life, versus like people can go their whole life living a lie and never improving, never getting better, and still being like, why is my life miserable? Why do girls still not want to date me, like this and that? It's always constant complaining thing. And they always want to change, like the world, like, why can't the world change for me? And it's like, no, you fucking change. You can't.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I mean, just kind of going along with what you said, and that goes along with like brutal honesty with oneself and with the people around you. It's, you know, if I'm screwing up, I want people to let me know I'm screwing up, so that way I could change it. You know, and that way, if the number one person you need to listen to is yourself, and you know, if you know you're doing something that's not a good habit, then you can change that yourself. And then before you expect anyone else to try to help you, you got to help yourself first.
That's very true.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's like the Chris Rock thing he said. I don't know if he said it, but I saw some meme. But basically, you can be that guy whose car broke down and you just try to wave everybody down, and then people pass you by. Or you could be the guy whose car broke down and you're pushing it, and then people see that you're pushing it and you're working, and then they want to help because they see that you're doing it. Right.
Exactly.
Just, I'm helpless. You know, that type of shit.
So you can't plan on other people wanting your goals more than you do. Exactly.
That's fucking facts. Were you always this motivated, like driven, self-driven like that? Or was there a specific moment in your life where things kind of just like clicked?
I don't know. I think, you know, my parents had a huge factor in influencing me. I know that, you know, both of them were really, really hard workers. They're really dedicated individuals to their families, their professions, and their lives. And that's one thing that keeps on driving me is, I know my brother and I, we were the first people in our family to graduate from college. So with that, and I mean, just hearing about the stories my mom had to, what she had to endure when she moved over to San Francisco in her early 20s, you know, anything that I'm going through is not going to be as bad as what she or my dad went through growing up. So if I have all of these niceties, all of these advantages that they've worked very hard to give me, then I better do something and I better make them proud, which that coupled like me trying to make sure that my family is, you know, proud of what their son does, coupled with me and the expectations I have for myself based on the mentors and the role models I've seen, gosh, man, if one day I don't feel great about myself, I'm going to think about, God, what, you know, if my mom didn't feel good about herself right now when she was at 26 years old in San Francisco taking care of her 3 siblings by herself, do you think she would just like hang out in bed and sleep in, or do you think she would go and do something about it? And then, you know, we both know the answer to that is she has a couple sons right now. Both of them had their master's degrees before they were 22 and or 23. And I mean, yeah, I feel bad about I don't feel bad for myself when I start thinking about that stuff, and that just gets me going.
It's perspective. No, that's
Yeah,
good. Yeah. Fucking woe was me type shit.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, think about it right now. I'm not saying I live a hard life. You know, there are a lot of things that I would like to improve on. There's a lot of things in my, you know, just generally throughout my life I'd like to improve and get better with. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit that woe is me. I'm gonna try to make changes about it. I'm gonna try to do
Mm.
better. And if I see something I want to improve, I'm gonna figure out the game plan and the business plan I need to make in order to get to that level. And you know, if it's hard work, that's all you need. If all you need is hard work, dedication, and not fucking around, gosh, that's easy stuff. I don't have to hang out with my friends on the weekends. I'll start working, try to make the life for me, my family, and my future kids better. You know, and
Mm.
you know, I think there's a good balance. Like you definitely need to have your friends. You need to definitely have your family. One of my friends, Amy, she had a really good point where she says she focuses on the tripod of her life because she can only focus on 3 things. And hers is family and friends because she counts that as one thing, her work, and then her health. Those are the 3
Mm.
things that she can worry about. And for me right now, I think it's my family and friends. But at the same time, we're in COVID, so it's really hard to hang out with friends. My health, I'm getting that back under me, and then my work, because I want to be. Gosh, I'm only a 7th year attorney right now, but when I'm in my 10th year, when I'm in my 20th year, I want to make sure I'm a 10th and a 20th year attorney, as opposed to a 10-year attorney who's done the same first year 10 times. I want to make sure I keep on getting better at every single level of the game. So that way, when I'm on my 20th year, someone's going to look at me and they're going to say, oh shit, he's been doing this for 20 years. And then, you know, with that experience, with that knowledge, things get, not want to say easier, but a little bit more fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, let's say, I'll use a boxing analogy. Like you
Hmm.
start boxing and you only really know, you're learning the jab, and you have to get the
Oh
jab
yeah.
down because that's the basic of basics, and you're just practicing over and over and over and over. And you're like, fuck, why am I
Yep.
doing this? But then eventually you get to the point where the jab is like, you got it almost perfected. Well, for you, like perfected, whatever that fucking means. And then you got your
Yeah.
cross.
No, it's true.
Then you can learn because you have those down, the jab and then the cross. Then you can get to the hooks. Then you can get to all the other, right. It's like the
Yep.
same thing.
You got to be able to hit that first level before you hit the second level. Yep. Like, what is it? It was Bruce Lee that says, I don't fear the guy who's practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the guy who practiced one kick 10,000 times. And
That
that's how
was,
you
yeah.
become a mastery on it. Yeah,
True. And that's just sticking through and doing it even in the days that you don't really want to do it, right?
absolutely. You know, I mean, there's days that I remember when I was studying for um, the bar exam. This was back in 2013. Me and a couple of my friends were talking, and we're like, you know, this is hard. I remember I was studying for the California bar, so I was studying for at least 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. The people studying for the, you know, the Idaho bar, the uniform bar exam, their their study schedule was, I believe, only 5 days a week. But for the California bar exam, our study schedule was 7. And you know, there's a lot of days we were talking about it. We're saying that, you know, what would you do right now that would where you'd be completely happy, you'd have great benefits, you'd have a great rate of salary. And one thing that we all discuss is like, well, one, a couple of us were discussing public accounting, but you have the same issues. You still have to take the CPA exam, which is 4 separate tests in order to become a CPA. But another thing, we were just talking about different jobs where we wouldn't have to put ourselves through this, but we'd still be able to have a great life. And I don't know where the point of this was going, but it was more of I don't know. Everyone kind of picks their own destiny. And one good thing that I learned from football is when I was at the University of Idaho, we had, gosh, my first 4 seasons over there, my redshirt freshman year, my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we had losing seasons, which means we lost and we won. I remember going into classes and my classmates around me bringing in the school newspapers, which came out a couple of times a week. I think it was called the Argonaut. And the, you know how newspapers have the cartoons that have like disfigured people and have like little punchlines and little word bubbles.
Like caricature kind of looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the caricatures were about the football team. So I remember having those thrown on my desk when I go to class every day after a big loss. And you can't really do much but laugh because they're right. And even though you played well, the team didn't play well, and it's a we thing, not a me thing. So that was one of the things where you had to learn about taking in all of the forgetting all of the voices that are outside of the locker room, forgetting the negativity that you're receiving from the media, from other fans or anything like that, and just continue to do what you need to do to get better. And that's why during my 5th year, my senior season, we ended up winning. We had a top 20 ranked offense. We ended up winning 8 games, and we ended up winning the 2009 Humanitarian Bowl in the last second. So no one really wants to talk about those 4 other losing seasons. Everyone wants to talk about that 5th season, but what happened during those 4, that's what really hardened the iron to get us to that 5th. So it's like, even when bad things happen, you always got to take it in a positive way.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how I look at it.
No, it's fucking facts. Like, I talk about this all the time on my podcast, but basically me bombing over and over and over on stage, and over and over. Like, oh my God, just like, it hurts. It hurts so bad to the point where you're just like, I don't care anymore. What can I focus on instead of just,
you're like, what's going to work? Like, I've tried everything I can even think of. What's going to work? I can't think of anything else. Like, you're just going to feel like withdrawn. You're going to feel like your whole world is not funny. You're going to feel like nothing. I've tried this. 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 But here's the thing. This, just like we learned this, is we didn't try the successful thing yet. And once you hit the successful thing, then that's when it's going to start clicking. And then I just keep on thinking about this one meme where it's these, it's a 2-layer photo, 2 guys with axes climbing through a tunnel. And then you see a bunch of diamonds at the end of the meme, a bunch of diamonds at the end. You see one guy stopping right before he gets to the diamonds. The other guy just manically, just still digging and digging and digging. They both had the same opportunity. One guy thought he exhausted all of his fucking remedies. The other guy kept on going regardless of what happened in the past. And he's about to hit it. And the question is, sometimes it takes, we're not going to all hit it this year. Sometimes it takes 5, 10, 20 years in order for someone to hit it. But here's the thing. You only need to hit it one time before you're called a champion and a winner for the rest of your life. And here's the thing. Once you hit it that one time, it's a lot easier to hit it the second time. I know when we won that 2009 Humanitarian Bowl, within 1 year, I won a world championship. So I went from having 0 rings in football. I remember after I got my bachelor's degree, I bought a class ring from the University of Idaho because I was not going to leave the University of Idaho without a ring. And I bought a class ring. I almost took a CPA job in San Francisco and did not come back for my senior season. That's how bad it was. Wow. But I was already halfway done through my master's program at that time. After a lot of back and forth, I'm not going to get into it now. The University of Idaho, the athletics department finally said they were going to pay for the rest of my master's while I was playing in my 5th year. That was an issue. That's a whole bunch of different stresses when you're talking about getting your scholarship pulled. And then I came back, I got my master's degree, I got another ring. I got that first championship ring. And then within a year, I got another championship ring. So now at that point, I had the 1 ring for my bachelor's degree, 1 ring for winning the Humanitarian Bowl in 2009, 1 ring for winning Arena Bowl 23. And after that, when I was coaching football, we ended up winning the NorCal championships with Menlo Atherton High School. I got a 4th ring now. So I got that one on my pinky. So I can say a ring at each level in football in the United States, right? But it's not that heavy because I don't have an NFL ring yet. But I think I'm okay not having one.
I mean, those are still big accomplishments, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows to prove, like, you got 4 winning seasons. All you need is 1 win. All you need is 1 winning season. And, the world won't think you'll be able to do it, but it doesn't matter what people think. It matters what you think and everyone else in your circle thinks.
And you know what? Those type of moments where, you had to persevere and it was a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. And then you have that 1 win, like you were saying, and then you're like, I belong here.
Yes.
I fucking belong here.
Yes. Yep. And imposter syndrome is a real thing. And, it's,
Yeah.
I had it in, I don't know if I had it in law school. I think my sense of ego was very big at that point where, regardless of how much other people try to put me down, I didn't really care what they thought. I just proved half of America wrong the year before. And then I was playing professional football while I was in law school. So I had a lot of other things I had to worry about. But I mean, it's when you're in those situations where you have that imposter syndrome where, you do belong here. There's a reason why you're sitting here. And I have had people try to call out my classmates where I remember one time a kid stood up in the middle of our constitutional law class and told a woman student, "You took the seat of a more qualified male. The only reason you're here is because of affirmative action," is what he was trying to say.
Damn.
We hated that guy. Everyone hated that guy. And I mean, I feel like that's just another individual who's showing his stripes more so than the woman who is sitting there, who's a very, very good student, by the way. And it's mindsets like that, guys, is the reason why people are very, very offended for situations that are currently happening. I know I don't want to get too much into what the political unrest and what's going on in our society right now, but that guy was completely wrong. And trust me, everyone around him made him know that he was very wrong. And I can say that comment right now, where I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will know that dude was an idiot. But there are still a lot of people that came to that guy's defense. So I'm just saying that in kind of the grim view, where doesn't matter how outlandish someone's statement is, doesn't matter how outlandish someone's actions are, there will be people who defend them. So that's just something to know, and don't take it personally. But at the same time, you're still keeping all the receipts. You're still writing down and remembering everything that's happened.
Very true, and that goes back to the accountability thing. The more, especially men, the more men live their lives with a lack of accountability and blame things, the worse it gets. And then the more they seek other people that are like them with the same mentality, and then they kind of like work together to be like, yeah, no, it's all this. It's not me. Like, complete lack of awareness, right? It's really sad to see right now. It's like, I just kind of want to slap them in the face and be like, wake up, stop being a bitch.
It's like, hey, hang out at my hood for a couple days, and then you'll get to see my perspective a little bit.
Yeah. And there's a complete lack of that now. There's a lack of, let me just get to know the way this person thinks, just to kind of understand where they're coming from, instead of just like, they vote for this guy, so they're this way, or they work here and do this for a living, so they're this type of person. It's like, dude, humans are much more complex than that,
Absolutely. And I mean, I know people don't really want to hear this, that it all starts out with conversations and it all starts out with people talking to each other, but it really starts out with people having a willingness to be open and a willingness to be receptive to other people's beliefs and opinions without immediately trying to disregard it or combat it or attack it in a different way. Gosh, I'm just remembering not arguments, but discussions I've had with people like during law school or afterwards or whatever, saying that how racism doesn't exist anymore, how there's no need for affirmative action any way whatsoever. And I remember having those conversations and just thinking, like last month I got called a chink like a couple blocks away from here. Yeah. And like I got told that I shouldn't be having a white girlfriend. And then you're trying to tell me that, this doesn't exist, that you're actually a person who is more deserving of treatment because of how you were raised. And I'm just like, you're not gonna. I told them what happened, and oh yeah, but that was a one-time thing. I'm just like, well, I think I know what you're trying to say. I think I know how you're trying to position it, your message, but you're trying to position it as a place from being open, but you're not really trying to be receptive for other facts that are going to challenge your hypothesis, and it's completely okay when people are like that. That's why I like the fact that I'm able to hit from both ends and tell people about certain situations I've seen and certain situations I've been in where people just didn't realize that I am mixed. But I feel like sometimes when you're mixed, you get the best of both worlds, but you also get the worst of both worlds in other situations. So I don't know. I feel very lucky, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I know that there are others in different parts of the country who do not have that same privilege as I do.
I'm curious though. You're half, so you were saying that there are, some disadvantages to that, or like tough things that you've gone through because of that. Like, I'm curious from your experience, what some of those things were.
Oh man, we could hit up the usual, certain situations. I'm not Korean enough to be hanging out with the Korean kids. Other
Mm.
situations, I'm not white enough to be hanging out with the white kids. Other situations, just you talk about all those. But I would say some of the more interesting recent ones are whenever I'm in a location and I'm wearing sunglasses, for example. Because when I'm wearing sunglasses, in a lot of situations, especially with a beard and brown hair, my beard turns red in the summer times. It has tints of red. I do look Caucasian, and then all of a sudden, that's when I start hearing, when I'm in certain situations in certain rooms, I start hearing a lot of things I would not necessarily hear if they knew a person of color was in that room. And that's
Oh.
something that everyone needs to be mindful of and stay aware of, is to people who are Caucasian, who are Anglo, right? They hear a lot more conversations than I will ever hear in my life, because people will be more comfortable to say those things that they wouldn't normally say when there's an African American person in the room, an Asian American, or an Indian American, a Native American even. Usually when the groups are mixed like that, people are a little bit more mindful of what comes out of their mouth. But when I'm in those situations, I'm in those rooms, I'm wearing sunglasses, I'm wearing a hat or something. The important thing that we need to do, just generally as humans, is whenever we hear that stuff, we need to call it out and nip that in the bud right now. Because if we still let the conversation start and continue, then that person's going to be reinforced that it's okay to start talking about those things when he's around other people that are just like him or her. And even though I think a majority of people in those situations don't feel comfortable, they don't agree with it, they don't agree with whatever that racist or racially insensitive thing that person is saying, but they don't say anything. And if you're in
True.
the room and something happens and you don't do anything, legally you're not guilty, but I think socially, if you're trying to advance the United States and everyone's equality, then I think you should have an accountability to yourself in order to say something, even if it is going to make you feel uncomfortable.
True. Hey, so in those
Yeah.
moments, have you ever just went like, take off your sunglasses all slow, be like, do you see me? Have you ever done that? Or you just kind of just sit there and just like listen, because you're like, because I would do that. I would totally be like, they have no idea, huh? Like, these people have
Yeah.
no idea.
Well, I definitely take my sunglasses off and then I give them my perspective, because thankfully I am a large male who I won't be afraid physically if I call people out in those types of situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've encountered it enough times where now I know how not to call people out, but to really just reframe a conversation in order to have them pose more points.
Yeah.
Instead of calling them out and saying, hey, that's racist. I don't like doing that, because that's super confrontational. It's not going to open that person up. And at the end of that day, that person may be like, oh, did you see how much that person of color yelled at me? For what? So then that's what reaction they're going to take back from it. But
True.
instead, it's having them think, all right, why do you think like that? Tell me your experiences. All right, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about this? So then you're making that person who's trying to make blanket statements just start explaining themselves. And if they don't want to, then you're going to know that they don't want to. And what they made was just a one-liner. And then at that point, at least other people are going to know that they just made a one-liner. And then they'll be stumped. So in situations, I find that that's powerful sometimes too.
Yeah, not being reactive with emotion, because I had an experience where there was a guy from high school. I haven't seen him in a while, and then for some reason he was at the club that I was at, and he's not Asian. And then somehow we got in the conversation of how he said he was like, yeah, I don't really like Korean people. I don't hang out with them because I had bad experiences in high school. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm Korean, right? He's like, oh, you are? I thought you were Chinese. And I was like, yeah, I'm Korean. I was like, that makes no sense. So because you had a few bad experiences with like 2 people or 3 people in high school, you're gonna judge a whole group of people. He was an Arab guy, and I was like, what if I decided because of what happened with like 9/11, right? And then I could say, well, all Arab people are this way, or all Middle Easterns, or whatever, right? I could blame them. Like, what if I did that? And then what if I became racist and I started hating on all these other Middle Eastern people? How about that? But I don't do that.
And
Yeah.
you don't. And I know that for a long time people did, and then we found out that that is not the right thing to do, because you can't discriminate. It's not right to have a discriminate against a whole group of people for the actions of a few. So I totally agree with you on that one, Mike.
Yeah, it's super
Totally
super ignorant to think that way.
Yeah, it really is. So I mean, I'm glad you were able to change. See, here's the thing: you were a friend, and you changed his opinion by talking to him the way that you knew he needed to be talked to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, F you, like I don't believe this, and like, I'm done with you. You're like, all right, give me a little bit more, and then I'll be able to help you along. You know what I mean? I'll be able to help you along the right path.
Yeah, and it worked. And he was like, he's like, shit. He's like, I'm sorry, man.
Right.
He's like, I'm sorry. And
Exactly.
I guarantee you, he never forgot that. He never did, because I didn't yell at him, because that is what everybody expects. They say something and then you yell back. Why else would somebody yell, you chink? Because they want your reaction. That's it. They just want the fucking reaction. And if you don't react in that way, that's it's a pattern interrupt. It interrupts the pattern of what they expect. Then they're like, well, what the fuck do I do with this? They don't know, right? And then they get confused. So, and it's weird to me, the fact that somebody would yell that at you, especially because you're a fucking huge guy. Were they in a car, or what was that?
No, we were in a 3x2 bedroom apartment, and it was at a house party, and then he was about 15 feet away from me.
And was he big too, or what?
No, he was about 5'9", and I think he was Caucasian. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he definitely just wanted. He probably lives his life that way because he's inferiority complex for whatever reason, right? Like,
yeah, the good thing about that one situation, I mean, it happened plenty of other times, but the good thing about that one situation is when he started yelling derogatory language, the owner of the house, the apartment, she started yelling at him and kicked him out of his house, and a couple of his friends defended him, and then she kicked them out too. So it's that's a good ally thing to do in that situation.
Absolutely. And then it makes the party much better. And then I was like, oh, thank God they're gone. And it bonds everybody more together.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the best fucking way, man.
I agree, 100%.
You know what? We got to get into TikTok real quick. We got to talk about TikTok. Okay. Because so you have 336,000 followers, and
oh shit, I'm 336,000 followers.
Yeah. You're growing. You're growing like fast, dude. So I mean, you post a lot. You post different content.
I try to stay on trend a little bit too, So
yeah, I noticed that, and I, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that because I just want to do my own pure raw material, and I'm just like, but they're trends for a reason, and you can still do it your own way. Right. Yep. So I'm starting to realize like that's kind of it's a bit foolish of me to think that way, like thinking like, oh, I'm so good that I don't need that. Well, you know what? My views are not proving that. So there's nothing wrong with doing trends and things that people enjoy. It's just kind of part of it, like pop culture type shit, right? Like
absolutely, yeah. And that's why I like doing it. I like doing it because TikTok for me it's kind of like an outlet. It's just another one of the social media avenues I use, but I'm able to. One thing that's really cool is I really enjoy that I'm able to share information and education about general legal information on there. I'm not giving anyone legal advice. I'm not doing any legal analysis on anyone's cases, and I'm very upfront with that. But there's just a lot of different labor codes, and there's a lot of different laws in the state of California that I feel like the general employee should know, just to be able to protect themselves and just to know their rights. There's a difference between asserting rights and knowing your rights, because trust me, there are certain times when employers or whatever are violating labor codes where it's not worth it to bring it up. But there's other situations where you're like, I know there's something not right about this, and that isn't right. And then when you know that it's based in law, that actually helps you go along the day to day and helps you make the other decisions maybe a little bit easier. Saying, all right, if these are the laws that are being broken, maybe I want to look for employment elsewhere. So it's with that knowledge that I'm hoping to like share with people. And it just so happens that, I do like social media. I published a book back in 2016 called Student Athletes and Social Media, where you can find on Amazon and wherever books are sold. But it teaches student athletes about how to use social media to benefit their post-athletic careers. And one of the things that we talk about is the Athletes LTD 4-quarter rule, which tells student athletes the types of content that they need to create and in what proportion to achieve the ideal student athlete image online. So one thing that we talk about the first quarter is you got to share about your personal interests. That's the first 25% of that pie, the first piece, because that's what really separates you from everyone else who's doing the same thing that you're doing. The second 25% is about your athletics career. And, I'm sharing this with lawyers too and law students. I think the last law school I lectured at before pre-COVID was National University of Singapore over in Singapore. And before that was Indiana University of McKinney College of Law. So the second quarter is sharing about their athletics career if they're athletes, or their professional careers if they're attorneys or law students. And that could be, the work that they're doing, what they're learning, or just other general legal experiences. That third quarter, that third 25% is about their community service and any familial values that they want to share with their peoples. So, when people are looking at the type of the ideal image of who they want to see, they don't want someone who's all in about themselves. They don't want to see someone who's working all the time, but they also want to see someone who's giving back to the community and who's also sharing their knowledge, sharing their time. So that's that third 25%, because student athletes, they volunteer a lot. They always help out on campus. They're always a part of community service events that are going to help the community meet the athletics departments and the athletics teams. So they need to share about it, or else no one else will know. And the fourth quarter, that last piece of that pie of how you should be spending your social media time, is around engagement. So it's exactly what we were doing. And when you and we're starting to talk to each other on TikTok and then on Instagram, and we started talking to each other on the phone, because the people that you meet online, they're still real people. They might not live in the same geographic location as you are, but they are influential in their communities. And when I say influential, that doesn't mean a lot of followers. That just means that when you're going to speak and you're going to say something positive, that there will be people listening. And so that's the fourth quarter, the fourth piece of that pie, is just to engage with your fans, followers, and communities, as well as people from other communities like you. So and that's what I started sharing with the student athletes, and it's called Student Athletes and Social Media. And then I also present that to law schools and other legal events. So I really enjoy TikTok because I'm able to share about the law for people who are interested about it, and I'm able to get a little outlet. One thing I love about TikTok is my lunch break salad shakes. It's the drill. If you don't know the drill, you should check out the hashtag lunch break salad shake. When I'm working all day, I'm obviously on a computer most of the day, but during lunch, that's when I have the time to really just unwind for a little bit. So I make these funny, quirky little videos about me eating my prepackaged salads that I make every day, because I'm trying to get back on my health kick. So I see TikTok as a good outlet in that regard. And it seems that some people enjoy it too. There's people who are duetting the salad shakes. There's people who are tagging me and which prepackaged salads they're buying that day. And there's people who are following my ratings as well. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's so cool that you started this whole little like niche like part of TikTok, right? Because it's like
about
your
salads.
thing. Yeah, no, that's got to feel good. Like, oh shit, like that's so cool,
Yeah, and I don't think that Lizzo has seen any of my videos. I hope she has, but she recently did a salad shake. She didn't hashtag lunch break salad shake or anything, but I can't wait to do one with her and me together.
Dude, how crazy would that be?
That'd be awesome.
I can see it in my head already. Yeah, just like Lizzo and Adam J. the Lawyer. They're fucking shaking
Yeah.
salads together.
Heck yeah. And if possible, everyone needs to tag Lizzo in all of my lunch break salad shakes. I'd love to do one with her.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening, or I mean, not if you, whoever is listening, follow Adam J. the Lawyer and tag Lizzo in those videos, okay? Because we need to make this happen.
Exactly. That's a collaboration in heaven.
Yeah, it's a community working together to make some amazing, greater shit happen.
Yep.
So before we end the podcast, I always like to ask this to everybody. Okay, I lied, not to everybody, but some people. What is one of the biggest life lessons that you've learned that you can share with people that they can apply to their life, or something that you live by on a day-to-day basis?
Gosh, there's a few things that's coming up to my head right now.
It could be a few, or
yeah.
whatever.
I remember in 9th grade English class, we were asked to give one quote to the class on a piece of paper. We were asked to write it down, write our name on the back. They would all be shared by the teacher anonymously, but the quote I wrote on there was somebody's definition of perseverance. And that definition was, sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. So that's something that I've really taken to heart since 9th grade when I wrote it on that piece of paper. And I actually think I saw that quote on MTV from one episode of like a Real World versus Road Rules challenge or something like that. But
great show.
But that's something that's something I really took to heart, because when you're waking up every morning and you seem like you're stuck in the same routine and the same rut, you need to remember what your goals are, and you need to remember why you're doing the things that you're doing. And they're not for no purpose. They're for the purpose of getting you to the goal that you want to be at the time you want to be there, which for me is going to be long term, right? And you're going to encounter a lot of people in your life. A lot of people are going to be coming into your life and coming out of your life, and that's okay. It's okay when they do that. It's always sad when they leave, but at the same time, we're all walking down the same road, and we can't choose who we encounter on that road in front of us. And we can't also choose how long they decide to walk with us on that road. But one thing is certain is, as long as we're confident with ourselves, as long as we continue to persevere based on our goals that we want to accomplish, then really the person you need to hold accountable the most is yourself. And if you have that 100% accountability to yourself, when things get hard, you're going to push through, because you're going to know that you need to persevere because you have not yet reached your goal. So that's one thing that I kind of tune into my life every single day. But the easiest thing that I'm doing right now to get there is to get my physical fitness and my flexibility on point, because then I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can just get that tuned in. And if that means I need to spend less time hanging out with friends, if that means I need to spend less time watching TV or hanging out on TikTok, I know I need to do that. Because at the end of the day, when you hit the end of the road, I don't know if TikTok's going to be there, but my body will. And I need to know that I need to have that there as best as it can be. So that's kind of the thing I roll with on the day-to-day.
Damn, that was some deep shit. I'm like, no, he's right. Cause as much as I try to separate myself from the whole like TikTok thing and like social media shit, it's just, I'll get lost in it and I'm like, oh yeah. But it's like, no, you're right. It is not everything. This shit right here is not what this truly is the temple that we have to take care of, because this is going to be here until we are no longer on this earth. And this is what defines our physical health is what defines the quality of life that we live, no matter how much money or fucking TikTok followers we have, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. And, and it's like, when I'm 50 years old, when I'm 45 years old, I want to be able to play soccer, football, baseball, softball with my kids, because, if I have a son, he's going to be a badass in whatever he decides to do. If I have a daughter, she's going to be a badass in whatever she decides to do. If non-binary, they're going to be a non-binary badass in whatever they decide to do. And I want to be a part of that as long as I possibly can. And one way to do that is to physically be there. And that's one goal I want to have for them, where their father is going to be around and going to be able to participate with whatever they want to do, even if it's climb up Mount Kilimanjaro. I need to mold my life right now in order to be the biggest benefit to them when they're here.
Hell yeah, you heard it from the man himself. Okay, so Adam, do you any thing you want to plug in, social media, whatever else?
So I'm figuring out the social media thing. I'm figuring out the YouTube thing. If you can, all my handles across the board are at ADAMJTHELAWYER. So check out my YouTube channel. I am planning on really making it a little bit more robust. So that's youtube.com/c/ADAMJTHELAWYER. But one really cool thing that we're developing right now, and we're actually outlining the scripts, is we're creating a paid course that teaches people. It's a primer on employment law for non-exempt workers. And I think one of the first industries that we're either going to be hitting is the restaurant industry. So check that out. I'm really trying to make it affordable and reasonable for everybody to have, because it's one of those things where if we're going to be an employee, we better know our rights. And right now, I'm not sure if everyone has the time to read all the IWC wage orders in all the break rooms. So it's something I'm hoping to share, and hopefully it'll be really beneficial to everybody.
And it definitely will, guys. If you're like me, you don't like to read the fine print and all that bullshit. So this is definitely something that I'm gonna have to, talk to you about. But yeah, Adam, thank you for your time, and guys, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of the Setbreaker podcast, and until then, I will see you on the next episode of the Setbreaker podcast.
Bye. See y'all later. Thanks, Mike.